Tanks were built to dominate the battlefield, steel giants that made enemies scatter. But ask any crewman who served inside one, and you'll hear the truth. Every tank has a weakness, and every soldier remembers the machine that haunted it. In this video, we're going to explore the nightmares of tank crews, the enemies they feared most. From World War II, beasts like the Tiger and Panther, to Cold War ambushes with guided missiles, and finally, the modern threats of RPGs, IEDs, and attack helicopters. By the end, you'll know the weapons and machines that veterans still call a tanker's worst nightmare. Section 1. World War II. The Age of the Steel Monster. The Tiger I. The roar that froze soldiers in place. To Allied tankers, the word Tiger was enough to send a chill through the ranks. The German Tigers had armor too thick to penetrate and an 88mm gun that could destroy Shermans or T-34s before they even got into range. Veterans remember hearing its roar before they ever saw it. One U.S. Sherman commander recalled, "We were kids in tin cans. The Tiger was a monster. Its nightmare wasn't just firepower, it was psychology. A single Tiger could stall an entire offensive, turning brave men cautious. The Panther, the silent predator. If the Tiger was brute force, the Panther was deadly balance. Its sloped armor made it hard to kill, and its long barrel 75mm gun could pick off Soviet T-34s with deadly precision. Veterans on the Eastern Front called it the perfect predator. Unlike the Tiger, it was faster, smarter, and often waiting in ambush. One Soviet tanker described it simply, "If you saw a Panther first, you were lucky. If it saw you first, you were dead." And on the Sherman's own reputation, the Ronson fear for American and British crews, the M4 Sherman was reliable, but against German armor, it was vulnerable. Crews nicknamed it the Ronson after the lighter. Lights every time. The nightmare wasn't fighting in a Sherman, it was knowing you might face a Tiger or Panther and have no chance head-on. Veterans described fighting in groups of 3 or 4 to take down one German heavy. It wasn't just the enemy that terrified crews, it was their own fear of burning alive in a tank hit once. Section 2. The Cold War. New weapons, new nightmares. The T-55 and T-72, a sea of steel. During the Cold War, NATO tankers often described the nightmare scenario as the swarm of Soviet tanks. The T-55 and later the T-72 weren't individually terrifying, but they were everywhere. Western veterans remember planning for the Fulda Gap in Germany, imagining hundreds of Soviet tanks charging through at once. Even with better machines, they feared being drowned in numbers. The nightmare wasn't one tank. It was facing so many that you couldn't kill them all. The AT-3 Sagger. When missiles changed everything. In 1973, during the Yom Kippur War, Israeli tankers met their nightmare, the AT-3 Sagger anti-tank missile. It was slow, visible in the air, and utterly terrifying. Crews could see it coming for 20 seconds, steering like a snake in the sky, and still couldn't stop it. One veteran recalled, "It was like watching your own death float toward you." For the first time, tanks realized they weren't just fighting other tanks. Small infantry with shoulder-fired weapons could destroy a steel giant. The ambush fear, BMPs, and hidden threats. Cold War crews also feared ambushes in forests or cities. Soviet BMP infantry fighting vehicles, armed with missiles, could cripple tanks from cover. Veterans say the nightmare wasn't the tank you saw, it was the one you didn't. Section 3. Modern warfare. Invisible killers RPGs. Cheap but deadly. In Iraq and Afghanistan, veterans explained that the greatest fear wasn't enemy tanks. It was the RPG. Cheap, portable, and everywhere. An RPG could disable even the mighty Abrams or Challenger if fired in numbers or from the right angle. Crews described scanning rooftops, alleys, windows, never knowing who might appear with a launcher. "We had the strongest tank in the world," one veteran said, "but it only takes one lucky shot to ruin your day." IEDs. The road itself becomes the enemy. If RPGs were scary, IEDs, improvised explosive devices, were nightmares made real. Veterans recall the constant dread, every pile of trash, every pothole, every roadside carcass could be hiding a bomb powerful enough to flip a 70-ton tank. One Abrams crewman said, "The road itself became the enemy. We trusted the tank, but we didn't trust the ground." This was the cruel evolution of fear. Not the enemy you could see, but the threat you couldn't. Attack helicopters. The Predator. Above modern tankers admit their worst nightmare isn't always on the ground. It's in the sky. Helicopters like the American AH-64 Apache or Russian Ka-52 Alligator can hover miles away, fire guided missiles, and vanish. Crews say it feels unfair, like being hunted from above with no way to fight back. "You can duel another tank," one veteran said. "You can't duel the sky." Modern missiles, the tank killers. From the American Javelin to the Russian Kornet, today's anti-tank guided missiles are nightmares in their purest form. They don't just hit, they strike from above, where armor is weakest. Crews know that even the best defense systems can fail. Veterans admit the nightmare today isn't facing another tank. It's knowing that one soldier with a launcher can erase a multi-million-dollar machine in seconds. Section 4. What fear means to a tank crew. Throughout history, the nightmare hasn't always been the biggest or strongest enemy. It's been the unexpected. In WWII, it was hearing "Tiger" shouted across the battlefield. In the Cold War, it was imagining endless Soviet armor pouring across Europe. In modern wars, it's the roadside bomb, the hidden RPG, or the drone above your head. For crews, fear wasn't weakness, it was survival. It kept them alert, cautious, and alive. Section 5. The ultimate nightmares. So, what do veterans themselves call the greatest tank crew nightmares? The list usually includes 1. WWII's Steel Monster. 2. Panther, the Predator with balance and precision. 3. AT-3 Sagger, the missile that changed armored warfare forever. 4. RPGs and IEDs, the cheap weapons that haunted Iraq and Afghanistan. 5. Attack helicopters and modern missiles. The 21st century Predator's tanks can't fight. Tanks were built to inspire fear, to roll across battlefields as unstoppable giants. But ask the men and women inside them, and they'll tell you, every tank has a weakness, and every crew lives with nightmares. Sometimes it's the shadow of a tiger. Sometimes it's the hiss of a missile. Sometimes it's the silence of a roadside bomb. And that's the truth of armored warfare. The greatest fear isn't the machine you command. It's the machine you hope you'll never face.